thought I'd talk about the 8 dimensions of wellness. I have a presentation. It's a little bit about what wellness coaching is. So there are wellness coaches. You can get certified to become one. It's just another kind of continuing education, peer support certification that you can get. And so we'll kind of talk about what that looks like, but also the 8 dimensions of wellness is just really helpful for yourself to kind of take a look at and evaluate your own self-care in all of these different areas of life, all of these different domains of life. So I did introduce myself a little bit. I'm a certified peer counselor as well as a substance use disorder professional. And I took the 8 Dimensions of Wellness course, so I'm a wellness coach as well. And I do have my CCAR as well. So a little bit of everything. And I'm just really glad to be in the peer support field again. I did the substance use counseling for a while. I loved it. But there's something about peer support and that voluntary aspect of it that really kind of gets me going and that I really enjoy. So I'm just really glad to be back in this aspect. And yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about the definition of wellness, what that looks like. There's many definitions of wellness, of course, and everything's kind of personal to you. But we'll talk about kind of what it means in the 8 dimensions of wellness world. We'll talk about what wellness coaching is, and then we'll do a wellness planning tool as well. I also have a kind of a survey assessment that you can do yourself, and we'll take some time to do that so you can see kind of where your wellness lands in this 8 dimensions of wellness. And so the first thing I want to do actually is the wellness inventory. So I'm going to put a link in the chat in a minute, but it's going to go over questions in each of these dimensions. And you'll just go over like 4 questions in each dimension and it'll give you a little score. So it's just something to kind of take a look at and then we'll talk about it. And as we've kind of just realized doing this inventory and kind of noticing those 8 dimensions, there's so much more to wellness than just one area, right? And in wellness coaching, we talk about it as not just being the opposite of illness, but more. There's more to it than that. So there's all of these dimensions and ways of looking at it, and also that it's personal to us. Wellness to me is going to be different than wellness to you, right? And we're going to be like happy with our kind of like where we're at in any of these dimensions compared to what other people might be. Other people might need to want to improve on certain areas, and some of us might be happy where we're at. And then we're going to also talk about the term coaching a little bit, because this is kind of about wellness coaching, not just the 8 dimensions of wellness, but kind of what wellness coaching is and looks like. And so we'll talk about what coaching looks like in a little bit, but coaching kind of, what do you think of when you think of coaching? So here we define wellness as a conscious and deliberate process that requires a person to become aware of and make choices for a more satisfying life. So being like very conscious of what we're doing. So with that inventory, we can kind of be more aware of what we're doing, where we're at, and kind of reflect on that too. So that's kind of what their definition of wellness is that conscious and deliberate process of improving, or of like that awareness of where we are and the choices that we're making in each day. So health is influenced by a number of different factors, and here are just some of those factors. So there's genetic predisposition, which is 30% influenced by your health. There's social circumstances, which is 15%. There's healthcare, which is 10%. Environmental exposure is only 5%. And then lifestyle pattern is 40%. And lifestyle pattern is the choices and control that we have over our circumstances. So like choices in diet and nutrition, physical activity, stress management, maybe use of tobacco would be a choice or not, of alcohol or other drugs. All of those things are kind of like lifestyle patterns. There are choices that we can make that can really differentiate what our health outcomes are. And that's 40%. So it's a big chunk of us in control and making choices on what we can do in order to improve our health. And then wellness coaching. So this is kind of why wellness coaching is so helpful and important, is like being able to have that support person with you, going over this evaluation of your 8 dimensions of wellness, and then kind of like making a plan on where you want to improve certain things. Because it is a choice over what we can do and what we can do to improve things. And so a wellness coach is someone that is a deliberate and intentional process. They use a set of techniques. So we learn a set of techniques that's like motivational interviewing and things like that, that support a person in creating some goals, and then checking in and having that accountability partner as the coach in order to kind of make sure that they're still on task with the goals that they create in any of those dimensions. It's usually a time-limited process of 4 to 6 weeks. So you do your initial assessment, and then we discuss what that looks like, what changes might be made. We create SMART goals, and then we check in on those SMART goals once a week or multiple times a week to see where people are at. Other techniques include communication skills, motivational strategies, and then coaching principles, which are a lot like the peer support principles, just like walking alongside, mutual support, unconditional regard and respect for the person's choices and their goals, and going with that. So here's kind of the flow of how it goes. So there's the orienting piece. That's the piece where we talk about what wellness coaching looks like. You're orienting to the process, to this process in general, and making sure that this is what the person wants. Like in 4 to 6 weeks, we'll have completed this process, and we can restart again, of course, but like this is what this 4 to 6 week process looks like. So then they do the assessment online. And then with that assessment, you're going to talk about each of those categories and figure out, kind of differentiate which categories are most important to take a look at, and maybe set some goals around and make some changes on. And then when we set those goals, we make sure they're SMART goals. So we discuss what those are and teach what those are. And then we do a planning and accountability. So we have kind of a worksheet that we can do that has those SMART goals on there, but also like, what are they going to do for this week in order to kind of move towards that goal. And then you would just do that each week, is a new plan, a new accountability, and checking in and making sure when those check-ins are and what those are going to look like as well. And then there's mentoring and support along the way, of course. Maybe some changes need to be made. Maybe the goals need to be a little bit rearranged. Maybe someone just needs some like motivation that they can achieve these goals, right? And make that difference. Some of them can be hard, especially a lot of it, you talked about the physical piece of the 8 dimensions, and that can be a really tough one for people to get motivated to do and do on a regular basis. And so, like, just knowing that making change is hard and having that accountability person and that support person is really like an important piece of continuing that. And pretty much, so wellness coaching is also a voluntary thing. It's person driven, just like peer support, but it's also time limited. So it's that 4 to 6 weeks. And then it addresses barriers and concerns as well as motivation and provides accountability to reach personal wellness goals. So it can be really helpful for you personally. This can also be like a really useful tool if you're working with people as well, of course. And I would suggest if you're doing this yourself, get an accountability partner, like have that check-in person, because I think that's the biggest, I don't know, that's the thing that, at least for me personally, when I'm working towards a goal, having that accountability person keeps me motivated to do it. And I know I have to check in with that person in a week. And so I want to have something to check in with, right? I want to say I did this and this week. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on wellness coaching or about kind of creating those wellness goals in general?